with Kevin from Molossia, and he is a current president of Molossia. And I think it would be best if you did the introduction on yourself.
All right, fantastic. Well, hello. This is President Kevin Law of the Republic of Molossia. As mentioned, I am the founder, ruler, and creator and dictator of our tiny nation, which is actually located fully within the United States and surrounded by the state of Nevada.
And so I happened to come across your country or your place from a show called Yes Theory, which you've been on, and how was that experience from having visitors come into your town or your country?
It's a lot of fun. We actually have a lot of visitors that come. People find out about Molossia from a wide variety of sources besides Yes Theory and so forth. There's been a number of YouTube, I guess, movies, shorts, clips, whatever they're called, made about Molossia, and of course we're also out there on social media, and we have our own website, of course, because we're a country. Got to have that. So we actually get a lot of visitors to come visit our nation. We average about 200 a year, I think, which is pretty fair considering that we only have about 7 tours a year.
Heck yeah, that's pretty cool. And are those scheduled based on the website? Like, do you guys have like specific times, like when like my team and I would be able to come check out the place, or is that based
Yes,
on scheduling?
absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely they're scheduled out because we have a lot of other activities, and we are kind of a small country. We're not very deep on government depth, if you will. So I kind of run the entire show, which includes the tours and visits of the nation. We have about 7 tours a year, April through October, once a month, and they start about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then 9 o'clock in the morning during those hot summer months. And yes, we definitely welcome visitors. We don't really welcome visitors in between the tours because, like I said, we've got other things going on, and that's all right. But we do have a lot of folks that come drive by Molossia and stay on the U.S. side of the border and see us, I guess, from afar, if that's the right phrase, something like that.
Yeah, most definitely. So, as far as maintaining relationships with other countries, I see on the website that you guys have had, some enemies as well, and you probably do have some allies as well. So, what what do those relationships look like?
Well, we tend to maintain very informal relationships with other nations. We don't really engage in treaties or alliances or anything like that. We tend to be, friendly toward other nations. Yes, we've had a few conflicts through the years, and we have our one ongoing, never-ending war with East Germany, which we can talk about at some point if you like. But generally, we have a positive relationship with most other nations.
So, what led to that conflict? Because it was back in what 1978. I might have the year wrong, but I shortly, briefly read up on it last night.
Sure. Well, Molossia itself was actually founded on 26 May of 1977. That's when we became a country, and back then it was called the Grand Republic of Volstein. However, we entered into our current and ongoing and never-ending war with East Germany in 1983. I was Prime Minister of Molossia back when it was called Volstein, but I was also stationed with the United States Army in what was then West Germany before West and East Germany became unified, I think in 1991 or something like that. So anyway, as armies tend to do, they would wake us up in the middle of the night, and we'd have to go jump on our tanks and go get ready to repel the communist hordes, and who fortunately never came. But I was woken up one too many times, so I declared war on the nearest East Bloc country, which was East Germany. As previously mentioned, that was back when Germany was still divided into two separate parts. East Germany, of course, being in the Soviet sphere of influence. Well, time passes. I forgot all about that war declaration, and I rediscovered it in our archives about maybe, I'd say, 12, 13 years ago, something like that. And I laughed to myself because, East Germany by then was long gone until I discovered that it's not long gone because back in 1973, Fidel Castro of Cuba gave a tiny island off the coast of Cuba to East Germany became East German territory. And that was not addressed in the unification between East and West Germany. And so that remains East German territory to this day. It's the only remaining piece of that nation. It is, however, completely uninhabited. So our war goes on forever because we cannot, arrange peace with an uninhabited island. There's no one there to work it out with. And so, yeah, our war pretty much goes on forever against a nation that basically doesn't exist anymore. But hey, that's the way things are. We like to do things a little bit weird and quirky here in Molossia. So that's our East Germany war.
So I assume then you guys would have won that. Then I guess that's pretty much a win, a victory.
Well, yeah, except we can't go there. We can't occupy the land because even though we have our own nation, we still have to follow, the U.S. laws about going to East Germany. Going to Cuba. So since we can't visit, it's sort of the island just sort of sits out there waiting for someday when we might go there, and then arrange peace. I guess the only thing there is marine iguanas. So we'll work it out with those guys.
So, how do you guys address or approach the issue of national security, including threats from terrorism, cyber attacks, and other resources or sources?
Well, cyber attacks and so forth, we have all the usual firewalls and passwords and all the normal stuff that you're supposed to have. And we've had a couple, but we kind of worked it out. We have pretty good, web hosts, so they not a lot sneaks through. As far as physical security, we both have the Molossian Navy, which is our one branch of the armed forces that we have. That's right, we have a Navy here in the desert, and then we also have our constabulary, Molossia Constabulary, headed by our chief constable, who is now also a soldier, and so she ably defends the nation from usually with consuls like internal threats and so forth like that. But we don't have a whole lot of those. Usually some rowdy tourists, so that's about it.
And then how's the space agency goes? Because I saw some footage. I think it was last night. I was watching some videos, and you guys definitely have progressed over the course of some time with technology. And what does the future look like for that?
Our space agency, like our entire nation, is fairly small and primarily consists of model rockets that we launch. But we always try to explore different approaches. Like, for example, a few years ago, we were the first micronation. Molossia is called a micronation, which is a tiny self-declared country. We were the first micronation to launch a living being in a rocket. There were some Mexican jumping beings because we didn't want anything to come to harm. And, of course, they survived just fine because they're in their own little tiny bean. And so all's well there. But we've done a number of different things, launching different rockets to see, how high they'll go, if they're launched at the same time, that kind of thing. We're constantly experimenting with our space program. No, we haven't reached space yet, but, they never can tell what the future might bring. We might actually reach out into outer space. Got a couple ideas on that. We just haven't really acted on them yet.
And do you think that would be open to those that live within the premises, or do you think it would be open to those that live outside the premises?
Yeah. Almost all of our activities are sort of Molossia centric, and so we drag our citizens in. Not necessarily drag, but figure of speech. we strongly invite our citizens to participate in most of our activities, and so when we go launch rockets or if we have like a naval mission or something like that. Molossia being a family nation, the family generally participates and everyone comes along. Where we launch rockets is actually outside of Molossia in U.S. territory. It's a large dry lake bed. And so I guess other folks could pop in and watch and see what we're doing. They probably have to time it pretty well. I don't think we're usually only out there for about an hour. you have to really hit it quick. But I think it could probably be done. We actually, now that I think about it, about maybe 14 years ago or so, we actually did a joint rocket project with the micronation of Vikesland. They came down and we had a Vikelandic flag painted rocket and the Molossian flag painted rocket, and we launched those both skyward at the same time. So it was like a joint project like that. So, and that was a lot of fun. That was really sort of historical.
That's pretty cool. So they're, I guess we could say, allies in a way.
Yeah, again, I mean, we keep it informal, but yes. Yeah, they were. I don't think their nation exists anymore, or if it does, it's pretty quiet. But yes, they were definitely friends, if nothing else, if not more.
All right, so moving on to some important topics of recent UFO sightings. What information do you have or that you know of about the Chinese balloon situation? If you
Well,
can.
we had our own Chinese balloon that went over Molossia, and it was definitely not huge. It was
Oh, we
Again,
just.
that was also a little bit of a parody because one of the things we do in Molossia is we tend to poke fun, especially at the U.S. because they're big and bombastic and they do some things, and so it's really easy to poke a little fun in their direction. It's all in good. It's all good fun. It's not nothing intended to be mean. We did not actually have the real Chinese balloon go over us, although there might have been others in the past. I understand. Um, it's a good possibility. I mean, hey, we're doing things here in Molossia, and we're very popular in China. We are, I think, after the United States, China is our number one fan. Lots of folks visit our website and learn about Molossia from China. So maybe they send a balloon over us and we missed it. It's kind of a small country, so it would go over quick.
So, do you think that your relations with them is much better than the U.S. is with them? Then, I guess.
I think U.S. and China relations are a little bit strained right now, but Molossia and China relations are very positive, and Molossia and U.S. relations are actually very positive too. We have no problems with either nation. Very popular with both, I guess.
Well, that's pretty good. I'm just
hmm
trying to scroll through my questions, see what else I
hmm
have.
On the topic of UFO, we've never actually seen a UFO here in Molossia. And again, if it was going by fast, it would right over us, and we'd probably miss it. When we have seen the International Space Station, we saw that fly over us. And I did see a UFO at an amusement park called Magic Mountain about 40 years ago. I was laying on a bench. I looked up, and there was this weird thing with three little, I guess, circular, like, I don't know what they were, and it sort of went right across. I mean, I don't think it was balloons because it was moving really. What's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't bouncing around. It was moving very steadily in a direction without a lot of peripheral movement within itself. So I really believe that was a UFO.
So, do you think that those are from other continents, or do you think those are from elsewhere in the universe?
Oh, the imagination in me wants to really believe that UFOs come from far, far away and visit us. But I'm also pretty aware of the science and the difficulties in traveling the distances between planets and so forth. So the rational side of me is like, I don't know about that, but I want to believe it. Just like Fox Mulder in his poster. So why not?
Awesome. I'm trying to scroll through some questions. I have
hmm
them not really organized.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, so I guess one interesting question is what measures would you take to combat climate change and to like ensure a sustainable future for I guess Molossia and our planet as well?
Well, I mean, our responses would be a tiny, tiny drop in the ocean of like human consumption, which of course is one of the causes of climate change. We do try to put a clamp down on carbon dioxide emissions and carbon monoxide emissions. In Molossia, we don't really allow motors to idle. We try to take care of our garbage in a sustainable way. Garbage, by the way, is our number one export to the U.S., but we do recycle when we can and try to minimize the amount of that that is contributed to the environment. I mean, and of course, we try a variety of other things too. Water awareness is important because we live in a desert, and so we can't, waste water. So we just recently installed a drip system. I think, just this last year, and that has been very helpful in conserving water. So we're not just like dumping, gallons of water into every every tree bed and so forth like that. Something a little bit more rational. So we just try to be, I guess, careful with what we use, how we use, and what doesn't need to be done in order to try and sustain our environment.
And then, let's see. Uh, what is your stance on immigration, and like how would uh, how would someone be able to obtain like the rights to step foot in the premises?
Well, we do, again, welcome visitors, but we do not welcome new citizens. Molossia is a family nation, and you have to be a member of our family in order to become or to be a citizen, which means either born in, or we do allow brand new spouses. In fact, probably going to have a couple of weddings this year, maybe later on in the year, something like that. Maybe next year, I don't know. And that will welcome 2 new citizens to Molossia. So, but again, family. So folks that are not related to us one way or another cannot be citizens of the Republic of Molossia.
So, do you think that that would potentially be an option in the near future, or what does that look like for the future?
No, I think we're going to keep it that way as a family nation. I mean, the nation continues to grow because that's just the way of things. When one of we have many Molossian children who are now adults, and then they have their own children, and those children will have children, and so things will just grow, I guess, exponentially. That's just sort of the nature of populations, unless there's some crisis that causes that to change. But I don't really anticipate that. So no, I think we're going to stay a family nation. Officially, our law is that we need to know personally anybody that is going to be a citizen of the country. You can't, so in other words, we can't have citizens that live across the country that we don't know, just randomly through the internet or something like that. But in practice, that has turned out to be family, primarily family, because we're a very large family, so that makes a lot of folks.
Awesome. And then let's see. Trying to look through the list, see what else I got.
Mm-hmm.
So with the recent pandemic that we've been through, how did things, how were things addressed in the nation, or like how did that process go?
Well, I mean, we had a spate of, I guess, comparatively minor COVID infections, I guess. I don't know what's the right word. I don't know. I'm not medical. And so, in other words, some folks got COVID in Molossia, but at the same time, we also got all the vaccines that we need to have, and we strongly encourage that and strongly discourage folks from not getting those vaccines. We want people to be able to function in our little society, and being sick or even worse is definitely not a way to, I guess, keep things going, if you will. We fortunately had no deaths in our nation, and actually no serious COVID infections. So that was really good, really good. And I think that was just a lot of that was from being aware of the virus, and then taking precautions instead of just sticking our heads in the sand and pretending it's not a thing.
Awesome. All right. Trying to look through, see if my friend sent me any questions that
Oh,
he
sure.
might have, because I might have already asked the question that he wanted me to ask,
Mm-hmm.
because that was one question that I asked. Yeah.
No worries at all.
All right. So on to I guess my final question. My final question is, what advice do you have for those that would be interested in starting their own country, or to seek independence from an existing country that they already are in? And how would you recommend approaching this complex and challenging process?
Absolutely. Well, we actually highly encourage it. There are many, many, many micronations out there, and we encourage them to come into existence, I guess, if you will, and to grow and prosper and do great things with their countries that they're creating. We caution folks not to take it too seriously. If you go too far, you end up like those, the guys up there in Montana or whatever that don't think that they're part of the U.S. and they're ready to shoot. and don't need to have all that violence. Have fun with the idea of having your own country. Use your imagination, your creativity, and see where you can take that idea. We've been doing it now for almost 45 years, and pretty much every day something fun and something new happens, because nations are complex things, lots and lots and lots of layers. It's not just a simple thing. Okay, I have a flag, I'm good. No, there's a lot that goes into a country, and so that's what we encourage folks as they build their nations, to learn how nations work, and sort of build along that line. You can pretty much do anything you want, and I've seen any wild number and style and type of micronation in the many years I've been doing this here with Molossia. But I guess that's really it. Just have fun, use your imagination, and see what you can do with the idea of having your own country.
Awesome. And then two more actual final questions. One is, I don't know if you would know this off the top of your head, but what is the oldest country, or oldest micro country, excuse me?
I think the oldest one, at least that's still extant, is it Eliore? Eliore? I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, it's up in Sweden, and it's an island where basically once a year the citizens go out and they have a little, hoedown out there and do like an art thing and camping thing and so forth. And that's been going since I think the 40s, and that's probably the oldest one that I can think of. I could be wrong. I mean, there's been so many. It really took off for micronations that are not primarily online. It took off in the 1960s and 70s with places like Sealand and Hutt River and so forth. And then in the 1990s, the internet came along, and that's where a lot of the internet-based micronations came into existence. In other words, places that don't necessarily have a sovereign piece of land or semi-sovereign piece of land. So micronationalism as a hobby, and I kind of hate that word, but anyway, as a hobby has gone through a lot of phases, and there's all different types of nations. Ones with land, ones without land, ones that claim all the borders in between all the countries, or all the ocean that's outside the national boundaries, or something along that line. I mean, again, if people use their imagination, come with all kinds of cool ideas. Not to ramble too much, but we actually have a meetup that we do every 2 years, and it's called Microcon, and micronationalists from actually all over the world. They come from Europe as well as North America. They meet up and sort of like an exchange of ideas, and it's really cool. It's just a convention, basically. It's not an organization or anything like that. We're going to be doing the next one in I think it's June 29th or 30th or something like that, through the 2nd of July of this year, and that will be in Chicago. And people are definitely welcome to attend. It's an absolutely fun and amazing opportunity to show off your nation, and also learn about other nations and so forth like that. Part 2 of that's actually going to take place in Europe this year, and there's going to be one in Belgium, which is sort of like a second half, if you will. But anyway, that was a long ramble there, but yeah, that's kind of where it is as far as the oldest micronation, and of course, even as we speak, somebody has probably founded yet another micronation. So it kind of goes like that.
Awesome. Well, it's been an honor to get to know you and to listen to your story. And for those of you that are listening to this show, make sure to go check them out. I'm gonna definitely leave a link to your place in my description, so that way my viewers can maybe stop by as well and say, "Hey, I listened to that podcast, and here I am."
Absolutely, and welcome. And if there's any questions, drop me a line or whatever, and maybe we can even revisit this in the future. And we'll talk more about it, something like that. So it's been my pleasure and honor.
Awesome, and it was a pleasure to talk to you as well.